government's announced plans to procure 12 fighters from France as tensions in the Balkan regions continue to rise. So it's kind of a short article, but it just talks about the signing of the contract can be expected in approximately 2 months with the presence of the president of France. It is kind of a, they've primarily had Russian stuff. So, I guess it's a departure from what they've normally been doing. It's huge for France, right? So, I mean, the Rafale is a pretty awesome airplane. The Indians are using it, and now they're going to have another customer. So it's a dual engine aircraft, state-of-the-art avionics, weapons payload to support various missions. So it is multi-role, including ground and sea attack, reconnaissance, and nuclear strike deterrence. Potential sale of 12 Rafales is estimated to cost around 3 billion. There you go, Mover. So what is 3 billion euros divided by 12?
Wait, I have to do math? I was just sitting here looking pretty.
It's a lot, dude.
Yeah.
And here it is, a shift away from Russia. Once the deal is closed, the sale would mark a significant shift from their traditional supplier of Russia. So they remain reliant on Soviet-designed aircraft, MiG-29s, Mi-35 helicopters, and also some Chinese stuff. So some tensions with Kosovo. Serbia is one of the largest militaries in the Balkan region. It's ramped up its defense spending to keep pace with their arch foe, Kosovo, which was recently cleared to buy Javelin anti-tank missiles from the U.S. Frequent clashes have broken out between them, and they are hoping the Rafale will help them in their quest to stand up to Kosovo. So, I mean, I don't know, Mover. What do you think, man? Good idea, bad idea?
Well, so we talked about Azerbaijan recently doing the exact same thing. Well, not the same thing. It's the pivot away from Russian equipment. And part of that is because Russia is entrenched in war and they need to produce what they can produce to maintain that effort. The other piece to that too is what's available and technologically advanced. Anytime you change, I think you've talked about this with Malaysia, right? Where when you kind of change hardware, especially with what the Russians give you. I mean, the Russians kind of give you, okay, here you go. It's not necessarily what they have. So you may be on your own for some of the avionics and stuff versus Western. Yep. Typically, we may give you something watered down, but it's still going to, be the 99% solution. So it's kind of turnkey. And the Rafale is a great aircraft, 9G fighter, good radius, good rate, good avionics. I don't see what missiles kind of came with it. And that's kind of a question. Was it?
Good looking
missiles. But so that would be my question is, because it's not just that, it's what's the support look like? How do we train our maintainers? How do we build the missiles and the bombs? Because it's great to fly air shows, but you still need all the stuff to make people go away. Yeah. And if you don't have that stuff, then great. I didn't see what the timeline was as far as delivery schedules, and how new these jets are.
It's going to be a couple years. I mean, the deal is pretty much done, not officially stamped, checks cleared kind of thing, but yeah. I mean, dude, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, the Malaysians told me, like, dude, if we buy Super Hornet F-16s, like when they bought the Hawk, they're like, when those airplanes flew from the factory and landed in our country, we could put gas in them, put weapons on them, and go do a mission. He said they told me the MiG-29, the flanker, if the Indians really helped them with the MiG-29, and the French actually really helped them with a lot of avionics stuff with the Su-30. So, like you said, at least the Western equipment, the brochure is more accurate, I think, when you're shopping fighters in the West than you are with Russia. But it is eye-opening, right? Because the general location, they've been using Russian stuff for a while, and there is a huge mentality shift between Russian tactics and fighters that are built for those tactics and Western stuff too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I love the Rafale. I think it's a good looking jet. And if I was a Serbian fighter pilot, I'd be excited.
So here we are, 1999. 98, 99. T-Bear was in this. He was fighting in the Kosovo, or he was there in Kosovo, and now we're talking Western equipment.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Serbian Air Force will have now. It's not F-16s, which would be the total full circle,
right?
But having Western fighters and moving away from kind of the Russian footprint is very interesting, given the history of that region. And it's how many times have we, because you start to pick up a trend on the show. How many times have we talked about this now? This has been like a trend item of all these new aircraft orders, and it's like, well, we're kind of getting away from the Russian stuff and it's a new world.
I will say this: I actually met I think the French do a really good job of marketing. So I actually met and talked with the Rafale sales guy there when I was in Malaysia, and he was an ex-Malaysian fighter pilot they hired to sell them, right? So they were very smart about it. And I remember, whenever I worked for Boeing, Boeing's like, listen, we're handcuffed by the rules and regulations here in the States, and we can't grease the skids any more than we're allowed to. So
not the French.
No, wink, wink, nod, nod. So they are much better at, marketing. And also I believe the whole idea of, if you buy this airplane from us, we'll share some tech, we'll build part of it in your country, right? So we'll help enhance your aviation industry. So,
I don't know. Are they going to build part of it in Serbia?
No, but I know.
You mean other places? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So,
cool.
Because who wants to buy? Ideally, you are self-sufficient in your own military and your own fighter, right? So if you have some domestic capability to maintain parts, right, that's always a big plus too. When you're thinking logistically, we're going to buy these fighters, and it's a lot of money, right? So
yeah,
and a long period of time too, probably.
Well, and here's the other piece to that, because we're going to talk about tensions in another country later. But okay, Israel, Iran, Serbia, Kosovo, Ukraine, Russia, like the world is not doing so great right now. There's a lot of tensions and a lot of borders. Like things are ramping up across the board.
It feels like people are putting their dukes up.
It feels like we're just, okay, Serbia, Kosovo, right? 1998, 99. So we're just doing reruns. We just keep going. We're doing the same conflicts.
Yeah, it's almost like I've seen a lot of this before.
Yeah. And we hate it because, even though we train for war, that's the last resort. You don't want, you want 100%. Something else. Anyway. So on this topic, though, before we move on, Randolph says, interesting that Serbia didn't go with China and get the J-10 or JF-17, especially since JF-17 has some commonality with the Fulcrum they once flew. And that is a good point, because when we were talking about the other shift from the previous Russian equipment, the JF-17 was one of them. Well, the JF-17 was a valid option as well. So, it's interesting that they didn't do that, but it could be another manufacturing thing. What was available? Who was, like you said, who was selling the hardest?
I think the Rafale is much more capable airplane than the JF-17. Way better looking, but I didn't want to say it, but I'm thinking it.
My inner Frenchman. Better looking. All right.